Hey, Education Box here. Welcome back to another video. In this video, we will be going over some more Python basics. And mainly in this video, we will be going over if statements. So let's start off with a pretty simple example. So let's say I set A as equal to 2, and then I said B is equal to 3. Now what if I want something to happen when A is less than B? Now we obviously know that A is less than B, so if I say if A is less than B, print A is less than B. So what I've done here is I've checked if A is less than B, then it will print A is less than B. Now something important to note here is you need to always include this colon to show that it is actually in the if statement itself, and you need to have indented this what is actually going to happen. So if I press enter, it will obviously say that A is less than B, because it is. But let's say I set A to something greater than B, which is 4, and then I say if A is less than B, print A is less than B, and then if we print it, nothing will happen since A is greater than B. Okay, so let's take another example. I've created a separate Python document so I can run this. So let's set C as 4 and then D as 5. Now let's say we want to check whether C is less than D. So if C is less than D, print I think C is less than D. And then what else we can do here is we can type in else and then whatever we want to happen. So if it is not less than D, then we would probably want to print that I don't think C is less than D. Now what we've done here is we've asked to see if C is less than D, and then if it is, it would print that I think C is less than D. And if anything else, so basically if C is not less than D, then it will print I don't think C is less than D. Now let's say I add something that is not indented, and I mentioned this before. When you have a statement, you need to always indent it by pressing tab or adding 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, or 5 depending, but you always need to have that so that it will know that it is in the if statement itself. So now let's say I add something out of that, and I print, I don't know, hello. It will always print hello no matter what, since it's not in any statement or under any condition. So I'm just going to save this as something random, and then it will print I think C is less than D and hello. And then if I make D C as 6 and then I run the program, it will print I don't think C is less than D, and it will still say hello regardless. Okay, so let's take a third example. I will just add 3 quotation marks here and then here, and what that does is that makes your code so that it will not be run when you're actually running the program. It is very useful if you're working on big projects. So let's just say E is equal to 7 and F is equal to 8. Now what if we want to have 3 operators here? We want to check 3 separate things. So first thing that we want to check, if E is less than F, then print E is less than F. Now, what if we want to add another thing that we want to check? So what we need to do here is we need to type in elif, which is mainly else if. So elif E. So now let's say we want to check if E is equal to F. So basically, if F is 8, we want to check if E is also 8. So what we need to do is type in if elif E 2 equal signs F, and then print E is equal to F. Here, close the bracket, and then we need to do the same thing else, print E is greater than F. So basically, what we've done here is we've created 3 different statements. So we've checked if E is less than F, and it would print E is less than F. Then we've checked if E is actually equal to F, and then it would print E is equal to F. And then anything else, which mainly means that E is greater than F, then it would print that. So now you may be wondering, why do we use 2 equal signs? Why don't we just use 1? Well, when we use 1 equal sign, we're mainly assigning something to a variable. So if we wrote elif E is equal to F, that wouldn't make sense, because E is equal to F, that would just mean that now E is equal to 8, which wouldn't actually make sense if we're trying to check something. And when we use 2 equal signs, which we use in many other programming languages like Python, it means that you're trying to evaluate whether E is actually F. So now if we run this program, I will so E is less than F, obviously. Now if I change E to 8, it will check the first if statement, then the second, and the third. And since it is equal to F, it will print E is equal to F. And then if of course, if I make it greater than F, then it will print E is greater than F. And just another thing to point out, you don't always need to have one if statement, one elif statement, and one else statement. You can add as many elif statements as you want. So I can even say like elif E is greater than F plus 10 or something, and then we would print E is greater than F by more than 10. So obviously if we run this, since it is greater than 10, it will just write E is greater than F. But if we make it greater than 10, so let's say we make E 20, and if we run it, it will actually print E is greater than F by more than 10. Now, final example, I would like to try it. So let's say G is 7 and H is 8. If we say if G is less than H, and you all know this, we can just do G is less than H. But now, what we can do, instead of adding an if statement and just ending it, we can actually add another if statement in the else statement. So we want to press tab there. If let's say G is equal to H, then we want to print G is equal to H, and then we have to do else print G is greater than H, and then if we run this, it will print G is less, obviously we'll run the previous thing, but it says G is less than H. And then if we change G to 8, it will actually first check the if statement, then check the else statement, then it will check this if statement and that else statement as well. G is equal to H, and then if we make it greater, it will obviously say G is greater than H. Okay, so to end off this video, let's try making a BMI calculator using if statements. So I'll just make all of this here, the quotations that it won't be run. Now let's say, let's just start off with a name. So I don't know, let's call this person Bob. And then let's say weight, I don't know, let's just start, weight in kg is equal to 90, height in meters is equal to 2, okay, that's pretty tall actually. And then to calculate the BMI, we need to say that BMI is equal to weight, kg, divided by, which is the slash symbol, height, m. Now what we want to do here is we want to square the height in meters, so basically multiplying it by itself. So what we can do here is we can write height in meters times height in meters, or we can just write height meters, 2 star signs, and then 2, which basically means to the power of 2. So now we can print BMI is, and then print the BMI, and then we can say if BMI is less than 25, print not overweight, and then else print overweight. Now if we run the program, we should see that Bob is actually not overweight, which is cool, and his BMI is 22.5. But let's say we make his weight 125 kilograms, and we run the module, we can see that his BMI is now 31.25, and he is overweight. So just a recap of everything, we learned that an if statement, also you can call it an if clause, is basically when we are checking if a condition meets, and if it does, then it would perform an action such as printing something or doing something, running something. We can have multiple elif statements which can check multiple different things, and if we want to check if something is equal to something else, we use 2 equal signs. And then if we want to, we can even have an if statement in an else statement, and then end it off as well. And we can also incorporate this with daily life things that can actually be useful, such as making a BMI calculator. That would be all for today's video on using if statements. Thanks for watching, and bye.